Top right-hand corner of Antiga Shipyard, we have our red Terran player from the team Slayers. Down 0-1 in the set, it is MMA. And his opponent in the lower left-hand corner from MVP, winner of the first game, it is DongRaeGu.
DongRaeGu right now, he's actually got some representatives from his Team Liquid fan club here today. The president of the fan club actually gave him a custom-made t-shirt, which was really
awesome.
cool. I tweeted a picture of that earlier if you want to see it. But yeah, a lot of support for DRG, and he really is a player that is in the running for being called the best StarCraft 2 player in the world right now. So MMA, to a certain extent, you know, having kind of been in that situation before, has kind of been in the running for that title, you know, now has really kind of got a little bit of his work cut out for him. He's got to beat him not once, but twice in a row to take this series.
Now, if you remember, we asked MMA last night when going to dinner. We said, what map out there do you think is still Terran favored? And he said Antiga Shipyard.
Yeah.
And DongRaeGu looked at him square in the eye and said, no map is Terran favored.
That's absolutely true. And I mean, some Terrans actually disagree with MMA on that. I mean, another very famous Terran player, TSL Polt, really actually doesn't like Antiga Shipyard for TVZ, but overall, I would say that most Terrans still do. So not surprising at all to see MMA pick this map for Game 2. It's a map where you can kind of force Zerg into a little bit of a funnel. When you attack their bases, they can't quite get the surround like we saw in the last map in some situations. So look for MMA to try to kind of abuse the terrain of the map and use that to help him win Game 2.
And MMA indeed going after a little bit of a hidden barracks there. I don't know if DongRaeGu has scouted it yet. No, he has not, but he'll check up there in just a second or so, I would presume.
Just a moment. Yep.
And
oh,
no,
wow,
he doesn't.
He doesn't see it. Okay, so while this isn't that big of a deal for DRG, it will really make him kind of wonder, all right, where's your barracks being built at? Because there's kind of two different options. One is like many Korean Terran players do. They'll build it just off to the side like we're seeing MMA do, just to kind of mess with their opponent a little bit. But the other possibility, the one that DRG really needs to worry about, is the fact that those barracks, you know, may be being built very close to his base, and he could come under attack from Marines very early on. And look at that on the screen right now. DRG earning over $165,000 in tournament winnings so far. This is a guy who wins a lot, no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yes, it really is. But it's important to note, in this game, though, he had 2 drone scouts out. He still hasn't found that barracks. It looks like now he's feeling a little bit more secure, but he did have a few drones pulled off the line just to make sure that nothing out of the ordinary was going to hit. So back on MMA side, double gas after this, and we'll see if he goes right back into reactored Hellions like we've been seeing players do after the 1-Rax gasless fast expand. MMA certainly could go for that 3 command center build that we've seen players like Marine King Prime popularize. So a lot of options at his disposal.
Yeah, I mean, we could see him go for a couple different things. With 2 gas like that, a fast factory, I think, is almost certainly assured. He does have his barracks in a position, too, where he can put down that reactor and then switch it over, and there the factory will be going down in just a second. But what I'm wondering is maybe we're going to see Cloaked Banshees from MMA as well. Banshee Hellion has been really popular in early game TVZ lately, just because if you have the Banshees and the Hellions out at the same time, you can do a very good job of denying creep spread for the Zerg. If you're lucky, you can pick off some worker units and drones. You can even pick off some queens sometimes with that too. So it may just be reactored Hellions, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see MMA go for those Banshees as well.
And we saw him do that quite a bit a few months ago. We were talking right around the time of that Blizzard World Championships. That was a build that he used pretty well. I remember watching the first couple of games in that set when he really stomped over DongRaeGu in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
And I believe it was game number 1 on Crossfire, something like that, where he ended up going and winning a really ridiculous game that was built around having those Cloaked Banshees out there. It was the first time we had kind of seen that reactored Hellions into Cloaked Banshees, and people were even joking around Terran players. Fail Hellion harassment, fail Banshee harassment, transition into win the game.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, there was kind of a period of time in Terran versus Zerg where the matchup revolved a lot about Terrans going for these really fast all-ins, and it did largely revolve around the Terran players from the Slayers team. Boxer, Ryung, MMA, Ganji, and Teja were on the team back then as well, and all of them had this very, very aggressive TVZ style. Now, with the recent buffs to the Zerg race, with the Queen range being increased, it's become very difficult for those types of strategies to work, so we're going to have to see the Terran players from Slayers and from all the teams really kind of innovate again and advance their plane. It looks like
Yeah.
it may be Banshees, although he is getting a tank very quickly too. Though,
MMA
so
actually
we'll
just
see.
going right into Marine tank, bypassing Reactor and Hellions altogether. So he is going to have a very strong attack force, but not a lot of map presence for a while. DongRaeGu sitting back at home with 5 queens at the moment, though. So ended up going with the 5 queen build for now, but does finally have gas on the way and can start moving into his relevant upgrades. We see a Baneling Nest coming up as well.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, you won't go for 6 queens if you are going to be getting those upgrades in that Baneling Nest a little bit quicker. We did see Zerg versus Terran kind of change over the last few months, where before a lot of Zergs were actually skipping the Baneling Nest when going for double upgrades, but what they found then is that Terrans were able to respond to that with a lot of very early Marine pressure and take advantage of the fact that Zerg players didn't have Banelings. Now, we're not going to see that this game, but I just like it that DRG and a lot of other Zergs are getting that Baneling Nest even if they don't need it early on.
Yeah, it looks like this Viking is going to snag a couple of Overlord kills, but I love the Overlord positioning out of DongRaeGu at this point. As we can see, they're actually the very corners of the map, so we can duck in and check any of those bases at any time, but yet doesn't have to worry about this patrolling Viking all that much. It's already taking a little bit of damage, as a matter of fact.
Yep, now MMA moving out across the map with a very, very standard Terran push, Marines tanks, and a few medevacs, and we'll see how far he decides to go with this. He might not even be planning on attacking. He could just be pushing to try to get his opponent to make a few more units, but he's pretty much all the way over there, man. I mean, oh, he's going to drop his tanks on the middle ground between the 2 bases. This is so smart, and he does have siege mode. It's going to be really hard for DRG to get there and handle those siege tanks.
And he actually drops the SUV off next to the tank so he can go ahead and repair while producing the, or dropping the rest of the units on the high ground. More tanks continuing to move up as well. How many Lings are on the field? Just 12 Lings, 4 Banelings for now, and MMA could start doing some very real damage very quickly.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be something that DRG needs to react to. MMA almost in position now, and he's building bunkers too, really sieging up this main base hardcore here, and now the siege tanks are starting to fire. DRG responding, but those siege tanks on the low ground taking out the Banelings early on. Does he have enough queens though?
And look at this micro. He was dropping down the Vikings so we can do a little damage. Picked it back up. Did the same thing with the Marines inside of the medevac. A couple of the queens have fallen. The spine crawler is finally up, and it's taken a little bit of damage. But now the bunker is done. MMA could jump back into that, but he's worried about Zerglings inside of his natural. He's got to defend that for now. He's got 1 Marine inside of this bunker. It looks like he will eventually be able to hold siege tank sitting up there for him as well.
Well, good decision by DRG to go for that counterattack, kind of mess up MMA's rhythm a little bit. You know, we saw him about to put all those Marines in that bunker, and that did get a little bit delayed. So MMA's push not quite as fast as it could have been here, but overall still in a pretty good position. I do worry, though, that he won't be able to defend the counterattacks from DRG, because look at this, another big round of Zerglings coming into MMA's base. Does he have enough tanks and Marines to hold this off?
Well, he already, oh wow, actually got some very good hits towards the end as DongRaeGu does end up running away. Trans using up that spine crawler as well, but it's under continued fire. Another spine crawler trying to make its way up. Here come the rest of the Lings as well. He's going to be able to surround the bunker and the siege tanks pretty easily, but this tank on the low ground will provide quite a bit of support, but the spine crawlers are going to be able to seat themselves queens. Got to watch and make sure they don't get too far forward, though. It could get repaired up, and it looks like it is, and a couple of queens could die here.
And MMA still attacking. Oh, landing that Viking, so smart. He's going to be able to kill these queens, I think. Yeah, repairing the tank as well. And now MMA picks it up right as the spine crawler gets in position and gets away. Great little push from MMA. Kept the supplies even, made his opponent make a lot of offensive units rather than workers. And we'll see what happens here. DRG attacking again with another possible counterattack here. MMA hasn't gotten his 3rd base up yet, so this game's still very even despite that nice push from MMA early on.
It's funny, when you look at a crowd, there are obviously people who love the big flashy plays, but there are some people out here who are the true StarCraft connoisseurs, and after seeing that micro, I saw a lot of looks of not bad and light applause afterwards. Golf claps. Love to see that. So.
It's so subtle. It's so good, though. That's so cool from these players here. Spire just finishing up now for DRG. He's going to be able to make some Mutalisks, put some pressure harassment-wise on his opponent. He's got a decent amount of gas too. He can go up to 7 and an upgrade, or go up to potentially 8 if he wants to. Starting off with just 6. There we go, going up to 8 now. And attacking with these Zerglings. I don't know if this is the best idea, though.
That is a fair number of tanks that are up, and he does get 2 of the tanks killed, but that was about all. So we'll see if that was worth the investment there. As we can see, DongRaeGu going up to a 4th base already has the macro hatch down for him as well. And now it's a total of 11 mutas. So that's a little bit more than he was initially putting up. So going to to start putting on some pretty good pressure here, but MMA is a fair number of Marines out, pretty good amount of anti-air, needs to be able to secure his bases, and has not done so with turrets quite yet.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten any turrets. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. There we go, putting down that first missile turret to hold off the Mutalisks, and he does have a decent amount of Marines out, but it's going to be, you know, probably costing him a stim or two to be able to react to this.
And Overlord actually pulling some units out of position,
nice.
and DongRaeGu is going to be able to get a siege tank for his efforts there.
Yeah, always great to be able to pick off things like that. And he does turn back at the missile turret. He knows he can't take that out with all the SCVs ready to repair there. But, I mean, those mutas did great. I mean, they killed off the siege tank, didn't take much damage in return, and now he's going to clean up this Viking.
Yeah, but the mutas are pulled way out of position. They haven't done that much damage to MMA. Yeah, they're pinning him down for a little while, but he was just establishing his third, so it didn't look like he was trying to make a big move at that stage of the game.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to worry about moving out and attacking quite yet. He can stay a little bit more defensive, make sure that his third base is, you know, in a good, solid spot before worrying about going out to try to hurt DRG. But DRG looking like he wants to go and maybe try to take out this third base of MMA. We'll have to see. He's also got his infestation pit on the way too, but here's going for it.
Yeah, just going right up the middle. There's only 2 tanks sitting there. One of those is going to fall down very quickly. The rest of the range trying to run away. Finally, a third tank up at the back as well, but not much defending this
the banelings! They get a lot of SCVs there. A lot of workers taken out by DRG. Mutalisks taking out the rest of the SCVs at the third base. MMA has enough to clean things up at the natural expansion, but he took a ton of damage from that attack.
33 workers have been killed in this game so far for DongRaeGu, and MMA has not killed a single one in trade. He is down by 25 workers, but will of course be able to supplement that with mules here in a second.
Yeah, things looking a little bit rough for MMA right now. I mean, that's the type of damage that you really can't afford to take. You need to be able to defend that a little bit better. Losing some of those siege tanks early on made it easier for DRG to get in and handle that, and a good missile placement turret actually for MMA. Yeah, doing some hits, not actually killing a muta. Almost
did kill one. Did kill one.
Oh, he did kill one.
Yeah, another one vastly injured after that. But as we can see, 32 banelings were just morphed in for DongRaeGu. So this is almost very kind of July-Zergask, only just on 4 bases.
Nothing wrong with
that. He's kind
of
of going into kill mode now as he has Pathogen Glands and Hive Tech coming up. Yeah. He's going to try again here in a second.
Now, July Zerg would have never made an infestation pit, but that's okay. It's close enough anyway, because here come the banelings. All the units coming in, magic boxing that Thor. He does take it out, and I don't know if MMA has enough to hold this off.
He does take out all the banelings, though, and he has a few Marines left over, and he's going to start running in afterwards. So, looks like he will be able to push that round back, and he stabilizes a little bit better. The supply disparity was about 55, give or take, before that engagement. It's sitting at about 40 now, so a little bit better than it was, but he still has quite a bit of work ahead of him, especially because DongRaeGu has a 4th base up.
Yeah, right now the theme for DRG's play is just delay, delay, delay. Keep your opponent's army small while you expand, while you get that higher tech out so that you can just come in with an unbeatable push in the late game, and he is doing such a good job of it. He hasn't been able to kill MMA, but that's not the point. He's keeping MMA's army so small by these repeated pushes that MMA is not really going to be able to get in a position anytime soon where he can be out on the map and be aggressive. He's pinned inside of his base right now.
And MMA doesn't have any tanks sieged up over at his natural for now. There are 2 on the field, and he's making 2 at the same time. But he has a pretty good contingent of bioforces to go along with that, like this tank on the high ground here, as long as the mutas don't swing around, which looks like they are.
Yep, looks like they are indeed going after some of those supply depots. Not a huge loss, but it is annoying to have to rebuild those.
No, and actually MMA supply blocks.
Wow, he is.
Yeah, so that actually was pretty bad. He'll need to be able to defend those, and if he pulls any Marines out of position, that gives DongRaeGu a much better ability to run right up the gut.
Yeah, definitely a bit annoying there. Look at this, all the infestors out now for DRG. He's got his Greater Spire on the way to get those Brood Lords, sending a couple Lings in just to kind of see what MMA has. Got the vision of the army that he needed to. And look at the upgrades, too, for both of these players. Both of them going up to 3/3, plus 3 vehicle weapons even for MMA.
Yeah, as he continues to produce 2 tanks at a time, that's certainly going to be very, very useful for him. He is sitting with 4 on the field now and protecting this command center, which is building off to the left-hand side. DongRaeGu has not decided to go through destructible debris at all and give himself another attack route, which is a little surprising. And 1 single Hellion out on the map. It will finally
He's
find
so
this
brave.
base.
Oh. We'll remember him always as the bravest Hellion.
Yeah, that's true. Also the deadest Hellion.
That's also, yeah. Unfortunately. Well, MMA He's got a good amount of Marines out right now. He's reproducing a couple Thors as well. But man, DRG's army looks so scary.
Yes, it does. MMA going to load up a drop and run around the right-hand side, and was thinking about dropping those units back for a second. Decides to continue going with it. But the creep spread is so ridiculous for DongRaeGu. Doesn't matter where MMA goes, it's going to get picked up.
Yeah, MMA is going to get found anytime. And look, DRG already responding to that medevac full of Marines. Its days are numbered. And MMA, I don't think he's really going to be able to get any damage done with this.
He's going to try and drop some units down at the third. At the same time, a few units try to run up, but MMA's actually running out on the map as well. This drop does get cleaned up, but MMA going to start trying to force his will on the middle of the map and take a fourth base.
Yeah, DRG already has spine crawlers basically up at MMA's doorstep. Whoops. Fungal Growth taking out a lot of Marines there, and 7 Broodlords on the way right now for DRG. He's getting that final death push ready to go. Needleless is getting a little bit out of position. That was almost dangerous.
Almost baited him into a clump, yeah. But the SCV actually taking some of the damage there from the Spine Crawlers, and the Spine Crawlers will eventually go down, and they continuing to push on through. Needs to have some of that creep start to recede so we can get that fourth base down in the middle of the map and really start to get a Planetary Fortress down. Oh, but the Broodlords are out. Are there any Vikings on the field? There are not. There are none at all.
DRG, yeah, taking out MMA with those Broodlords. MMA trying to stem up. He does get one, but overall, Marines, Marauders, and tanks are just not what you need. Wow, he has gotten a lot more than I thought he would, actually, but DRG's army is just so huge. MMA, though, holding fairly well for now, but I don't know if it's going to last, man.
It's true. I mean, now that the siege tanks have gone down, the first wave, though, the Broodlords weren't engaging anything that could be hit by sieged up tanks, so as soon as the Bioforces pulled back, that was really good, actually. That's going to be a lot of dead medevacs if he catches them again, and he does.
If he gets like one more, those medevacs are all in trouble here. Maybe 2 more. Marines taking out a few Broodlords, but the medevac's getting low, and he takes out a lot of them there.
Yeah, no kidding. So, let's take a look here. It's 112 supply to 183 at the moment. 6 more Ultralisks coming up now, or 6 Ultralisks in general coming up. Those are the first ones on the field, but a nice tech switch out of him. MMA, though, has only been able to make Marines, so he really wasn't able to respond to that appropriately, and now he's at half the supply of his opponent. There it is, GG! And DongRaeGu has just 2-0'd Slayers MMA.
No kidding, easy peasy indeed, huh? MVP.DongRaeGu taking out Slayers MMA.